Welcome to my first video of 2024. Hope you had a happy new year this year. I'm recording this the week of the new year. Hopefully you had a happy and safe and healthy new year. Hopefully you ate your black eyed peas, you ate grapes underneath the table, and got all of the good luck and crossed your fingers and toes when midnight hit. Of course, this was originally going to come out the 31st. I originally recorded this video and didn't like the results of it. But hopefully this will be my last time recording this video and this will be the actual final result. Fingers crossed. So, before we get started, of course, give us a like, a share, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing by leaving us a comment down below. You can follow us on our social medias here at the Spideydude Radio Network. All the links down in the description. We're going to hopefully try to do more of these videos as we get through 2024 of like things that are related to the channel, but also things that are related to Spider-Man and stuff like that. But we're also going to try to expand our focus as a network beyond just Spidey, and you'll see and hear more about that first. But if you want to know more about that before anybody else, go to patreon.com/Spideydude Network. That is where we have our good friends that support this channel and support us. You see their names up on the screen. You see the different tiers. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for supporting us going into 2024, and we're going to have the best year yet, I firmly believe. All right, that being said, now back to the video, of course, now back to our list. Now, most of this list is going to be Spidey-centric, but there are a couple of exceptions, and I'll talk about them when we get to it. But number 10. So number 10 here is a figure that I really wasn't expecting to put on this list, but honestly, I really like him. I think he hits every single note that he was intended to hit, which is the 90s Kraven the Hunter. Really looks just like he came out of the 90s show. It's not trying to be straddling this line of doing the comics and not the comics. It looks like a 90s series figure that came out. I had the original figure from Toy Biz back in the day, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great figure. I thought it was a good one. Really, really liked it. So I think it deserves to be on this list here at number 10. Number 9. By the way, Kraven was a Walmart exclusive figure, so you can only find him on Walmart.com. You might be able to find him super cheap. He went on sale for dirt cheap. So if you haven't already picked him up, you still have a chance to pick him up to add him to your collection. All right, number 9. This one was a bit of a one that surprised me that I was going to put this on this list, but honestly, when I was looking at the ones I bought and what I had in my hand and had sent to me, I felt like, yeah, I got to include it. It's the Hawkeye from the Avengers 60th anniversary wave that came with the Sky Cycle. Now, I paid half price for this thing because there was a big sale that Target was having and everybody took advantage of. And I'll tell you, worth every penny. The Sky Cycle looks great. The sculpting on the Hawkeye looks great. If you have an Avengers display like I do, you need him on your display. I love the detailing. I love what they did with it. They took an existing mold and made it even better. Looks straight out of Avengers West Coast or classic Avengers. I love the soft goods element that they added to it. That's why it also ranks on this list, because it adds things that I feel like we need to see more from Hasbro, not less. So that's number 9. Number 8. This one would be higher on any other year's list, and that would be the 1990s retro VHS carded Green Goblin that came as a 2-pack with Mary Jane. This thing is the apology for, frankly, a misfire from 2020. Now, when they started doing the 1990s retro carded releases with Marvel Legends in 2020, everybody loved them. They are universally, I think, adored by a lot of people in terms of the nostalgia. But when they released the Green Goblin in the first wave, it was kind of this mix between comic and cartoon, and it didn't really satisfy anybody. Some people didn't like the eyes of how the sculpt was in the new sculpt. Some people didn't like the bright colors. Some people missed out on the Rhino Wave Green Goblin that came out years before, so this was their only option for a long time. But if you're like me and you wanted to see, a 1990s Green Goblin, it really wasn't the Goblin from the 90s show. This time they took two different head sculpts. They took a Norman Osborn and a Green Goblin head sculpt, added to it. They made some subtle changes to the boots and to the gloves, and most importantly, they also changed the head plate on the Goblin glider. And those three things make it feel like a brand new figure. Now, it would be higher on any other year's list, but the one thing I don't like about this figure is how gummy it feels in my hand. For some reason, the plastic just doesn't feel as strong as other Goblins in the past, and that gumminess is noticeable. And so that kind of knocks it down a few pegs for me. Otherwise, it would be ranked higher. Now, number 7. I wanted this to be higher. I really did, but there was other figures that I had to bump up ahead of it. And frankly, this one is one that I wish was higher. But it is the Tobey Maguire Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spidey. This one would be ranked higher, I think. Both him and the Andrew figure that came out in the same wave, I think would be ranked higher if they had the full complement of hands. But if you got the 3-pack of the Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield figure, you got the full complement of hands, but we lose out on half a set of 2 different hands to get a head sculpt. That is the unmasked head, which I'm not complaining, but left me quite a bit underwhelmed. I think I've seen people do kit bashes with the retro-carded Peter Parker. I like that. It looks good. It looks like he's the cool youth pastor. I fully expect them to do like a release of that in a multi-pack at some point. Love that figure. I like the figure. It really does hit me in the 2003 Spidey nostalgia. This is my Toy Biz that I have in my hand. But honestly, it just doesn't feel like it really... It feels like there was more left on the bone. Also, I think some of the posability, he looks a little more stiff compared to Andrew and the Final Swing suit. So, more on those two later. But before we get to that, let's get to number 6. Just missing out on the top 5 is Doc Ock from the same... from the Aunt May Doc Ock 2-pack VHS style retro card 90s animated series 2-pack that we also got this year. There were 4 of those releases. There was a Peter Parker Smythe, there was the symbiote suit cell shaded with Carnage, there was this, and the Green Goblin and Mary Jane 2-pack as well. So I love this 2-pack. It also brings us something that we've desperately been wanting in Doc Ock, and that is the bendy wire tentacles. These are great. They're fantastic. They can port to your existing Doc Ocks. If you have an existing Doc Ock, whether it's the Amazon 2-pack or the SP//DR Doc Ock that came out several years ago, it really is a great figure. The sculpting is all new. There's just a subtle amount of cell shading. He fits on your animated series shelf. It really looks cool, and I have to give him a lot of props. This one was one that just looks good. And even if you don't have a comic Doc Ock, he probably fits into your comic Doc Ock or animated series Doc Ock display very easily. Again, would be ranked higher probably any other year. I'm going to say that about a lot of these. But I couldn't not put this next one. And number 5 is the 1990s cel-shaded Spider-Man. Now, this is technically a 2022 release, but I didn't get my hands on him until 2023, and I thought I was never going to do it. This one was sent to me by a viewer of the show, Patreon supporter. You saw his name up on the screen earlier in this video, Vinkman. Thank you to Vinkman once again. This one is one of my favorites because of the mold it uses, the pinless technology it uses. The subtlety of the cell shading is not over the top like we saw necessarily with the 90s X-Men. This looks absolutely bonkers. It looks like it just came out of the screen from the 1990s animated series. It looks great with the Green Goblin and with Doc Ock, and I hope he'll look good with Smythe whenever I eventually get him. And like the Scorpion and stuff like that, those all look great, and I think that they are really, really great figures. So I included him on this list, even though he's technically a 2022 release. That'll probably happen next year as well, so just be forewarned. Number 4, we're getting to the top 4 now, and number 4 is Andrew Garfield. This one, I talk about the Green Goblin earlier on this list being the apology. This one should show you how far we've come in terms of the technology from the beginnings of modern day Spidey Marvel Legends to now. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a landmark in Marvel Legends history because that wave marked the return of Marvel Legends to Spider-Man. And it was the first wave that we got with Spider-Man. And they had the figure that's inspired by the movie. But honestly, it looks like almost like a photocopy in retrospect of like a bad Tobey Maguire figure. It's like they took that mold and then they just kind of tweaked it and made it into the Andrew Garfield. This one looks like it just walked off both ASM2 screen or Spider-Man No Way Home. Despite having the ASM2 name and having a likeness on the head swap that is more Andrew Garfield than of that series than the rest of the wave that it's supposed to come from, there's some likeness rights issues. I don't want to get into it, but it really looks great. And it also stands out on the shelf because it looks straight out Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'll be honest. This one was one that I knew I had to have. I had the original. They still use that mold even to this day with like the 6-armed Spidey that they did do a re-release, but I bring that up in honorable mentions. Yeah, I like this figure. I do. The only thing that holds it back from being a top 3 is, again, the lack of full array of hand accessories. It just really, holds it back, which was why the top 3 is going to have a very big theme. So, without further ado, let's get to... So, this would happen to me. I'm in the middle of editing this video, and I realized that the top 3 doesn't exist. It got cut off. My camera got cut off. My camera died during the filming of this. So that's why I'm wearing a completely different outfit, because it's a completely different day. But if you're watching this video, thank you. So let's get to the top 3. Number 3. This one is a theme. But like I alluded to earlier, there's certain things that I felt were missing in some of these other pieces, or maybe different things I've highlighted earlier in the video. But here at this point in the top 3, there is something that's very much in common. And for me, it's really simple. Number 3 is the 60th anniversary Black Widow. Let me tell you, it was a close. This could have been number 2. This could have been number 1. The top 3 was probably the most difficult for me to pick out this year because of how good these figures all are. But for the Black Widow, this Target exclusive gives you a lot of bang for your buck, and I got it for half price. That's right, half price! I got 3 head swaps. I got multiple guns. I got multiple effects pieces. I got different swaps of the wrist gauntlets. That's great. But I also got an all-new female highly articulated sculpt. I got butterfly joints in a female figure for the first time. I got pinless joints. Nothing, no expense was spared on this figure, and it shows. It is the perfect Natasha Romanoff figure for anybody. It works as a classic figure. It works as a modern figure. If you got an Avengers display, it looks phenomenal. Definitely worth the price. It's going to be harder to get a hold of now because it's a Target exclusive. But if you can get a hold of it, it's highly recommended. The value of it is just astronomically high. And again, any other year, I would say this is going to blow everybody away. But let's get to number 2. This is the best Marvel Legend, in my opinion, Spider-Man wise, that I received, that I got, or either bought or was sent to me, whatever, that I got in hand all year. It is the Spider-Man No Way Home Final Swing suit. Not only do you get an entirely new mold, you get this suit finally realized in action figure form. You get the entire complement of hands. And you get the Andrew Garfield head swap. Yes, technically that is reused from the 2-pack with Ned and Peter. Don't care. It looks phenomenal. It is great. The photoreal technology, I'm just going to say this, Hasbro has that on point when it comes to their Marvel Legends line. It looks even better than some of the import figures. And so I really, really like this figure. Any other year would be number one. But there was one... But, again, the posability is great. Now, if you get this figure, be sure to boil it. Not completely boil it, but put it in hot water first, because there has been some people having issues with breakages. So, just a good recommendation. I didn't have any problems with my figure, but I made sure to really work those joints before I started posing him to make sure that it was fine. It's a good figure, but you got to do a little extra work. I think the sculpting is great. The line work is something that is long overdue. I think they're hearing what a lot of people's complaints were about the MCU figures, specifically Spider-Man, not having the line work inside the figures and just doing the shadowing where they mold it on there but not paint it. Doesn't have this problem with this figure. This figure looks good. It is the figure we've all been waiting for. Chef's kiss good. And finally, let's get to honorable mentions. Now I'm going to do two sections of honorable mentions here. The honorable mentions are this. Mention section, I want to do something a little different. There are some figures that I wanted to point out that I want, didn't get, but I want for next year. Number one, the Green Goblin Deluxe figure. I gotta have that thing. It looks so good. Secondly, this is gonna kind of bleed into 2024. Some people are getting it now. Some people have already gotten it. It is the Doc Ock Spider-Man 2 figure. I think that will be one that I'll definitely be talking about at the end of the year. It's a great looking figure so far. Everybody I've seen that's got it in hand says it's the one to get. Both that and the Goblin figures, I think. Deluxe figures, yes, you pay more, but you're getting good value out of that, considering all that you're getting with it. As Waylon continues to move. Honorable mentions are ones that I did get in hand, but they weren't good enough to make the list. I've kind of sort of mentioned two of them, which one is Mary Jane, the other is Aunt May. Those two, I can't put them on this list because they're better figures, but they are important figures to have in your collection. They are definitely a bonus for what you get in those 90s retro carded figures. You need more civilians. I don't hate it, but it's just not good enough to make it in the top 10. That may be the only Aunt May figure we get, but man, it doesn't look as bad in hand as the promo images look with Aunt May, but man, it was not a good one. Mary Jane, same thing. She's a good-looking figure in hand. She had good promo images. It's everything you want. It's the 90s show Mary Jane. She looks good with your Spider-Man. I'm assuming she's going to look good with your Peter Parker. If you got that one that came out towards the end of the year, that's another one that I would love to get in the other honorable mentions too. But yeah, that one, those two are good. Also, I got the Kingpin Hawkeye figure. Vincent D'Onofrio looks great. I just don't love the suited body they used for him. He looks a lot scrawnier than I think of Kingpin even in the MCU as. But other than that, those are my honorable mentions. And so let's get to number one. Okay, I'm gonna be frank. It's almost not fair putting this figure on the list. That's why I said top 10 action figures that I got this year. But I did get this sent to me as a gift. And it is the Mafex Scarlet Spider. This is almost not fair. What you get with this guy, you get 3 different head swaps, you get soft goods, you get all the web effects you could possibly want, you get 10 hands, you get swappable feet, you get toe articulation, you get pinless articulation. It's a Mafex. If you've never had a Mafex, of course, you're going to be like, is it really worth it? Now, am I mad at Greg Bishansky for buying this for me? Slightly. I was floored. I was stunned. I did not expect this. But I have to thank Greg for getting it for me, because ever since I've gotten it, I've loved it. Last year I ended up getting the
contemporary to this one, the Spider-Ben in the sensational suit. They look great together. Two of my favorite all-time figures. This looks phenomenal. Got the 3 different head swaps. Like I say, the head swaps on the Ben Reilly figure also work with this one too. So there's no incompatibility issues if you happen to get both. So if you want your blonde hair Ben Reilly with the Scarlet Spider suit, you can definitely get that on this one. I am looking forward to its contemporary at Marvel Legends. This is going to be coming out starting this month. So people that sent in the pre-orders should be getting those shipped to them very, very soon. And it's on the 90s retro cards. So definitely going to be one of those that you're going to want to get your hands on. If you did not get your hands on this one, that one's a good consolation prize. Got a good amount of accessories. Not as many head swaps. No web effects, though. But, yeah. This one, straight up. The packaging looks great. The web effects are next tier. I could really go on and on about this figure, but this video is getting a little long. So, thank you to Greg once again for getting this for me. It really is the best figure I got all stinking year. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Give us the like, share, and subscribe. If you've gotten all the way to the end and you haven't already subscribed to us, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to us here at the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of everything we've done in 2023. And I am so excited for 2024. We've got a slot symposium that is in the can. It'll be coming out very soon. We've got some interviews we're getting nailed down and lined up for this month and next month. And so we got more cooking. And of course, we'll be covering Gang War. We'll have the return of Make My Mayday. Plus, if you go over to Spideydude.com, we'll have new episodes of Salpy Cinema Era Podcast, ASM Classics, and more. All the shows are on the front page and on your favorite podcasting catcher. So, if you look at us on the screen right now, the social medias, find us on our social medias. Let us know by leaving us a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. Follow us on the social media so you can be updated when we get new videos up and running. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network and the Spideydude Radio Network YouTube channel.